Hello again. This is the second American Sign Language video that I posted, and I'm really excited about it, even though we're not going to be learning any actual signs. Today I just want to concentrate on filling you in about deaf history. And so this is not going to be very detailed. It's just kind of a brief snippet. And it's just good, trivia, factoid thing to know if you're actually going to interact with deaf people. It's probably something you should know. If not, you may win trivia night somewhere and get free wings. I don't know. But it's still kind of cool to know. So the first thing you should know is that what these videos are about American Sign Language, or ASL. And sign language is not universal. If you go to China and try to sign American Sign Language, you're not going to understand you. That's because language is based on culture, and those two things can't be really separated. What one sign means here means something different over there. Supposedly if you throw the peace sign up in Australia, well, it's kind of the equivalent of throwing up a middle finger here. So, just different things, and it makes sense when you think about it. But how did we get American Sign Language? Well, there was a deaf girl, and her dad hired a teacher to help her, try to communicate with the hearing world. And that guy's name is Thomas Gallaudet. And that's his sign, his name sign. In deaf culture, instead of always spelling out your name, they will give you a sign, so that way you don't have to always spell it out. So that's Thomas Gallaudet because he wore glasses. And he eventually went to France, to a deaf school in France, and there learned sign language. And he met Lawrence Clerc. I'm not sure how to spell it or say that, but his name sign is this because he has a scar on his face. Deaf people are very visual, which also makes sense. If they can't hear things, they have to focus with their eyes. So they came up with this for his sign name. So he taught French Sign Language, and then they both came back to America to teach deaf Americans. And then later on in 1817, Gallaudet opens the first school for deaf in America. So, yeah, pretty cool, right? That's one part of deaf history. The other part that I've learned in class is called the Deaf President Now movement, which I know we went from 1817 to the 1980s. There's a big gap there, but these are the probably more crucial parts of deaf history. So what happened was, finally in 1960, ASL gained recognition as its own language. But it still wasn't really, respected. People still saw deaf people as, I hate to say it, but retarded. Incapable of doing things that they're perfectly capable of. And just because you can't hear something doesn't mean you can't do normal things like cook or clean or whatever it is. So finally, but before that, we have Gallaudet University, and that started in 1864 after Lincoln signed a charter, and that school is in Washington, D.C., and it is still there today. It is a big deal in, I guess, deaf culture because it's all deaf. Everybody there who goes to school there is deaf. All the teachers are deaf. But in the 80s, they actually had a hearing president, which is kind of offensive and a slap in the face if you think about it. They wanted a deaf president because that's someone they can relate to, and that's someone who actually represents their culture. A hearing person can't relate the same way, and during that time didn't care. I guess saw them as lesser, and of course they wanted to be able to not feel like that at school, and they wanted somebody who actually understood them and could represent their needs. And so when there was a hearing woman who was hired as president against the other two options, who were two deaf males, and they were just outraged when they found this out. So the students rebelled and pretty much shut down the whole campus, and the new hearing woman president couldn't even step on campus. And this movement was called Deaf President Now. And this was happening during the whole civil rights movement as well, kind of taking off of that as well. So this all happened in 1988. Finally, they won, and the board gave in after a long, nice, not pretty battle, I guess, and gave them a deaf president. And so, of course, this is a big deal and to them, and they came up with a sign to express their victory. So it goes like this, and they make a sound with it. Actually, they go pop, and that means victory, success. We won this thing, so suck it. But yeah. So then, I. King Jordan was the first deaf president at Gallaudet University from 1988 to 2008. And the current president is Alan Hurwitz. So they've only had two deaf presidents, but they feel pretty confident that there's never going to be another hearing president there again. So yeah, that's a little snippet for you of some deaf history, and I'll post another video soon, and hopefully we'll actually learn some signs. So, alright.